Oh, hello. Welcome to Gourmet, the channel where I cook my way through all the cookbooks I own and have never used. We are working with A Taste of Epcot, where we'll be making some beef empanadas. This is what the picture looks like. We're gonna, how do I say it? We're deviating from the recipe slightly on this one. I'm basically gonna make two versions of this dish. So one of the ingredients in the dish obviously is beef, right? The recipe tells you that you're supposed to use like a thick cut sliced roast beef, um, which I guess I'm just having a hard time wrapping my head around, right? So I did go ahead and I just bought regular like ground beef. And I'm gonna cook that up as well. And I'm gonna make kind of two different empanadas using the two different styles of beef. Um, we'll talk about the roast beef when we get to that part because I didn't really follow the recipe because I couldn't find it. But yeah, let's just get right into this one. Okay, so this one starts out pretty easy. We're just going to go ahead and get the dough ready. The dough does have to sit for about 30 minutes, so, it makes sense. A lot of dough sit. So let's get this started. We need 6 cups of flour. I'm just using an unbleached all-purpose flour. Oops. Let's see if we did a good job. Yeah, perfect. Only 3 more of these to go. So we switched bowls, but we got all our flour in here. I realized the bowl that I was using definitely didn't have enough room in it. Oh boy. I am going to go ahead and get out our plate. This is a half pound of Crisco. It says the recipe calls for a half pound of cold vegetable shortening cut into 1/4 inch thick cubes. So I did this kind of earlier. It's not cut quite right. I'll run a knife through it again, but it was hot in my kitchen and it just started to melt. So we had to get it cold. We are going to add in some salt into our flour. We need a tablespoon of salt. I think that's going to be a tablespoon. I've got my knife here. I'm just going to I just go ahead and I guess it's shortening. It's literally Crisco, so it's not gonna like. It might just be better to throw it in and hope for the best at this point. My hands are gonna melt this immediately, anyways, and there's nothing I can do about that. This is gonna turn into like all the dough we've done before. Where I just melt whatever fat is supposed to be in here. Maybe I should be using the KitchenAid, but I think we can do our hands. I just gotta be. Well, I don't know what I have to do. It would be nice if my hands weren't so hot, but that is what it is. I will say, I've got a. I used to like. I loved doing chocolate work. I took this like chocolate class in high school from like the local culinary college, and I really enjoyed doing it personally, but I like my outcome was not great because I just melted the chocolate the entire time. We were making like truffles or something, and mine came out fine, but I recognized at that point that chocolate work and I did not get along. And anytime that I do anything with butter, it feels the same way. So let's just, I don't know. I also know that these are little, maybe bigger chunks than what it said to do, but I'm hoping if it's big chunks, it stays together more. Now, this was almost like the whole thing of Crisco. There was quite a bit of the can, but I actually weighed this out on a scale beforehand. Okay, so I'm not going to make you watch this. We're just going to sit here until this resembles like course. What does it say? Course meal. So we've got our dough done. It feels like it's pretty like mealy to me. I think that's what we're going for. So we're going to go ahead and get the next step ready. We need an egg cracked into a bowl. And we need 3/4 of a cup of water. They tell you to measure out. Sorry, there's a lot of concentration happening right now. They tell you to measure out uh, a cup of water and then just use 3/4 of that cup to mix with the egg because we're going to be adding this into our dough. Now, if it's like extra dry or whatever, that's what that other cup, that 1/4 cup of water is for. So that's why we're doing it this way. I think our egg is pretty well incorporated. I'm going to go ahead, get this in, and we're just going to go here. So we've got this pretty much go. I'm going to get out a bigger cutting board, sprinkle some flour on it, and we're going to actually knead this on the cutting board. The book does say to do it on a floured surface once it kind of comes to a soft dough, which I think this is, it's not exactly all the way together, but we're pretty close. I'm just going to use a little bit of flour. I don't think we'll need much. Like I said, our dough is pretty nice right now. I like the feeling of this. I know I've never made empanadas before, so I could just be talking for the sake of talking, but I don't know. This feels really nice as far as the dough is concerned. So I think I'm on the right track. Now, of course, the book says that you're only supposed to knead this about 5 times. I don't think we really finished kneading this in the bowl. So I'm just trying to kind of, you can see how when I roll it, there's a lot of like nooks and crannies and cracks. I'm just trying to get this kind of to come together in an actual like dough ball. I'm pretty proud with this little dough ball. So we're gonna let this sit in the fridge covered in saran wrap for about 30 minutes. Our dough is resting, so I figured I'd just go ahead and make the filling. That way, hopefully the filling's maybe a little cool by the time we go to roll the dough. If not, then who knows? Did I just scratch my stove? I don't know what that is. I don't want to think about it. So the cookbook says to heat a 1/2 cup of melted vegetable shortening, or heat a 1/2 cup of vegetable shortening. So we're back in the Crisco, and I'm just gonna get this off the spoon, but I'm gonna say that this is our 1/2 cup of shortening. We'll leave the Crisco to the side. You can see here, I've used almost the entire can of Crisco. So that's just something to know. I'm going to go ahead and turn on our burner, get that going. While we do that, we need to cut 2 cups of white onion. So I have 2 onions here. They're about, they're white onions. We're going to start with 1. I'm going to try to measure it. I can't say that I'm going to be successful, but I've got my measuring cup out. So we'll try to measure it. I forgot a knife. Perfect. Okay, we've got our onions. I'm going to go ahead and get them ready to be diced. I always hate that part. I genuinely hate that part of dicing an onion. I know that's how you're supposed to do it, and I know that's how they tell you to dice an onion, but I don't like having my palm flat over it, but it is what it is, Let's get these guys. Oh, that almost went in there. I'm going to say that that's a cup. So I think the other half of the onion will also be a cup. I'm just going to throw that. I've got a little bowl back there. And nothing's happening in the oil yet, or the shortening, so I'm fine with letting these guys just sit there for right now. But let's go ahead and cut our other onion. There's our onions. We are going to cook these onions in the vegetable shortening. What does it say? It says over medium heat, and we're cooking these for about 10 minutes. It says until soft but not brown. So we've got our onions pretty much done. We're going to kind of deviate a little bit from the recipe. I'm going to cook the recipe, and then I'm going to do my alternate version. So I do have to take out about half of the onions. because I'm only using about half the meat. So I'm following all of the ingredients except we're using 1.25 pounds of roast beef, and instead I'm using just about I think it's a 7 or 8 ounce package of roast beef. So I'm trying to take out about half the onions. You can see though that in 10 minutes they only started to get brown. They really started browning because I stopped paying attention to them. And I said, I don't need to watch this. Turns out I did because they started to burn to the bottom of the pan. But I'm going to call that about half the onion. I'm going to get in here. So here's the other thing. This is our roast beef. It says thin sliced. I couldn't find thick sliced pre-made roast beef. I probably could have asked the deli, but it was getting close to the closing of Publix, so I didn't ask them. There was also nobody at that deli at that time. So I don't know. I also this just doesn't seem like it's right. Why are we not using ground beef? Why are we just not using ground beef? I don't know. I can say that all I want, but this is our recipe, so we have to try to follow it. Let's go ahead and throw that away. What do we need to do with this roast beef? We need a 1.25 pounds thick sliced roast beef cut into 1/4-inch cubes. So I'm just going to find the middle of the roast beef, and we're just going to start slicing. Doesn't this just seem wrong? This is not what you would think an empanada was. And I know that they're trying to make this accessible, but I have a very hard time believing that this is how they make their empanadas. We need to stir in our beef. Get all of that in there. I don't doubt that this is going to taste good. It just doesn't seem like this is the right... I don't know. It doesn't seem like this is what you want in an empanada. But there's our roast beef. We need 1.5 tablespoons of paprika. So I've got my paprika here. We're just going to say that that's about half. And then we need a tablespoon of red pepper flakes. So here's my crushed red pepper. Once again, haven't even looked into this. I just clearly don't care. I don't know if this is red pepper flakes or if this is not. And then we need a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. So here's our salt. Here's our pepper. I did lower the heat while I did all of this. So I'm going to bump the heat back up to kind of like a medium high, or medium high, somewhere in there. And then we're supposed to stir this for 3 minutes until everything comes together. Okay, so I'd say we're pretty much right at 3 minutes. It smells great, but I still can't believe this is just sliced roast beef. I'm going to go ahead, actually, I'll just turn the burner off for a quick second. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of scoop all the filling into here. The recipe says to let the filling rest for at least 15 minutes because you want it cool when you put it into the empanadas. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. Now what I'm going to do is I've got some just ground chuck here. And I'm going to take about half of what's in this pan. There we go. Because this is just about a pound. I'm going to wash my hands, but we're going to cook this ground beef. So I'm going to cook the ground beef, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Once this is a little more cooked, it might not cook all the way, but we'll get it pretty close to cooked all the way. I'm going to actually add back in the onions, and we'll add in the paprika and the pepper, and then set this to the side to cool as well. So we're doing the same thing that we just did, just with ground beef instead of a roast beef. So I'm just curious. I want to know what the difference is. I want to know why they didn't tell you to do this, because I feel like all the empanadas I've had have been ground beef. Maybe I'm wrong. It's been probably like an hour, honestly, since our dough went into the fridge. mostly because it took a little while for us to make both of the fillings, and then it did what's the word, take a little bit to like let everything cool. So yeah, it's been closer to an hour than I'd like to admit, but you know, it is what it is. We're gonna go ahead and get our dough ready. So our dough, it looks nice. It's a little greasy, but that's the shortening. So I was supposed to cut this in half and um, let it chill in halves, but I didn't do that. I'm also not going to roll it out in halves. I'm going to actually cut it into quarters and do everything in quarters. And just because I don't have the world's biggest space to do this, I should probably cut on the cutting board. That would be the smart thing to do. Um, so, yeah, I'm just going to kind of get this here, cut a quarter. I'm going to go ahead and put that there. And we're going to cut this into quarters. They're not exact, but it's close enough for me. I'm just kind of, you know, we only have so much space, so I am just kind of doing this in chunks. But let's go ahead. We're going to roll out our dough a little bit. This is just the flour from earlier. And we are rolling out our dough into 1/8 of an inch thick. We're probably supposed to do like, I don't know. I feel like I would want this in a circle, but I'm getting a triangle. I am terrible at rolling out dough. I don't know why I can't do it. Let us just. But the dough feels. I have to say, I'm pretty proud of this dough. It feels really, really nice. It doesn't feel like tough or anything, I guess is the word. But I'm going to say that's probably about 1/8 of an inch. And then we are supposed to cut these into 5-inch round circles. I don't have one, but I have this, which I think is about 5 inches. So we're going to use it and kind of see how we do. I guess, you know, there we go. I'm going to get a paper plate real quick, and I'm just going to stack these on a plate. And I would say normally I'd probably try to, I might not make all of these at once, but I think I'm going to make all of these at once. So I'm going to sit here and cut out as many circles as I can cut out from the dough. Ideally, I know I'm supposed to get about 20 empanadas. Who knows if we're going to make it. So we've rolled out our dough. I've got a stack here. I think I did 16, not 20. I still have a little bit of dough left, but I just kind of wanted to move on. I thought I'd be doing the whole dough roll today, but I no, that's not happening. So what we got, we have our dough here. We're going to, I think I'm going to flip around the cutting board. This feels better. Let's put the flour on that side. So I went ahead, made a little egg wash. It's just an egg and like a half tablespoon of water. We are going to lightly brush the outside edges. I'm just going to do it with my finger of the empanada with the egg wash. And then I'm going to try to do like 8 and 8. So I've got our, what's it called? Beef with, it's the roast beef. There we go. Here, I know I touch my fingers, but these are going to be baked, so I'm not that worried about it. And we're just going to fill these with our filling. It says to do 2 tablespoons. So I'm thinking maybe my empanadas are a little smaller than 5 inches, which I'm not surprised. I feel like what I was using is closer to 4, but that's okay. And then we have that. I'm going to take my fork. It just so happens to be the egg wash fork, but it's probably not supposed to be. And then we're going to squish down the edges so that they connect. Probably better than that on the next couple. But there's our empanada. We've made one. Let's go ahead and make another. Our finger do our egg wash. I will say the dough is really nice to work with. Um, I think because it is that Crisco, it's that shortening and not like butter or anything, that it's kind of staying together better. It doesn't seem like it's too hot in here. And I've got the AC turned down, but you've seen how we do with some other doughs. We don't always do so hot. So, yeah, I think this is going to be nice. Let's squeeze those edges together. And maybe I could be filling these a little bit more. um, but I don't want to overfill it. So there's 2. Anyways, I'm going to get these guys ready. We've got 2 trays here. This is the tray with ground beef. This is the tray with roast beef. I don't know why that was so hard to say. You know, I got a little more confident on these than these, so these definitely have some more filling. We'll see how that goes. We're just going to go ahead. We've got these on 2 ungreased baking sheets. I didn't want to do all of them at once just in case the first batch comes out really bad. But I am going to get a spoon, and we're just going to take our egg wash and just kind of lightly brush the tops of them. Now, sure, yes. You should probably use a paintbrush or something, but I realized once again, I don't own one of those. It's in the Amazon cart. I don't know why I never bought it. So these are not going to be like perfect just because I'm not really brushing them. You can see, I'm scooping on egg. So here's our empanadas before they go in the oven. Because this is the ground beef pan, I went ahead and put ground beef on top so I don't forget. We've got our oven at 400. We're going to stick these in for 25 minutes until they're golden brown. Our empanadas are just out of the oven, and here is what they look like. This is the one with the roast beef. We definitely did pretty good on the egg wash. The one with the ground beef, we did not, but they look really good. They're pretty hot still. We definitely, I think some of them opened, like you can see this one. It just, I don't know. We clearly didn't do very well. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take a bite. It's going to be hot, and I know that, but I'm impatient. So let's try that again. Here's our empanada. Let's go ahead and take a bite. It's been a couple minutes. I put it in the fridge because it was that hot. But let's go. That's what the inside looks like. This is obviously the roast beef one. That was shockingly good. That is better than I thought it was going to be. The dough is fantastic. It's a good flavor. I think I would do a little bit different with the inside of the empanada, but the dough is really good. I'm going to try the ground beef one now. I might take 2. Actually, you know what? We're going to crack it in half. That's a beef empanada. That's what that tastes like. The roast beef one's it's good. It's not as good as the ground beef. The recipe also says you can serve it with like salsa or however you want to top your empanada. And I'm a sauce guy, so of course I'm sitting here thinking like, let's put salsa, let's put hot sauce, let's put a billion different things on top because that's what I want. But as an empanada goes, they are actually shockingly good. I've never made empanadas before. I'm sure there's a billion different recipes out there. But this one was pretty easy to follow. The ingredients, super easy to find. And nothing was really hard to make. I think the flavor's a little lacking from what I really want. So I'll probably give these like an 8.5. But I have no problem with these. I would make these again. Like I said, I think it's a really, really good dough. That's my favorite part about this. Is it's a dough that I will make again. And I'll just play along with the filling. I think that's pretty fun. I might try like a different empanada filling. But I've got really like nothing really bad to say about these, except I think they could be a little better. But I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.